What's going on YouTube? Ryan and Alex back from Dopemon again, and we have a trade to announce. Bo Horvat is no longer a Vancouver Canuck, Alex.
Crazy. I was in disbelief when I heard it. I thought this was a joke.
Yeah, I broke it to you. My dad actually broke this to me. Fun fact. Texted me. He's like, "Oh, Bo Horvat to the Islanders." I'm like, oh wow. So yeah, the Islanders receive Bo Horvat rental straight up, and the Vancouver Canucks receive forward Anthony Beauvillier, who I actually really like for Vancouver. Forward Aatu Raty is the prospect, and a first round pick protected for this year's draft. The pick is top 12 protected, and if the condition is if the pick ends up in the top 12, then gets kicked down the road to next year, which I don't hate. And I think the explanation for that is I think the Islanders are 13th in the 13th last. Sorry, so their pick right now would be 13 if the playoffs ended or season ended today. So basically, I think this just means if the Islanders get worse, it gets kicked down the road. But then doing this, the Islanders, who are currently outside of a playoff spot, are kind of going for it, which is surprising a lot of people. What do you think?
I think it's the right move for the Islanders, who are, like you said, out of, the playoff spot right now, but they need to be. They really do.
Yeah.
They have a core. They have, players who are under contract for a lot of money, and if they roll over and say, yeah, we're just going to keep losing, then what's going on with the organization? Because clearly they're not winning. They either make a move to get better or rebuild, and they're not done yet. They have all the players, they have, the core they want to win with, and they're going for it. I think this is a huge move, and it really opens up not just the floodgates for the Vancouver Canucks, I think, but for the entire league now that the marketplace is kind of being set.
Yeah, the market's definitely being set here by this trade. Everyone was kind of waiting for the first shoe to drop. The trade deadline is just over a month away. I believe it's March the 4th. Can't believe I don't have that date memorized.
Yes, it is.
March 4th. But anyway, we'll talk about the players here. Bo Horvat is obviously the guy, the biggest piece in this trade. He's having a career year. He has 31 goals in 49 games played, 54 points. He's a Canucks captain. He has been for a few years. Captain in New York is Anders Lee. And coming back the other way is Anthony Beauvillier, who I really like in 49 games this year. Only has 9 goals and 20 points, but he's been consistent. He's just been a consistent middle six, good, quick winger. He's got career highs of 21 goals and 39 points. So with a little bit more responsibility, maybe gets up there and toward the 40s and 20 goals. But I think it's a good player for Vancouver, specifically going through this kind of pseudo rebuild that they're going through.
Yeah, Beauvillier is a guy that you can really build a depth, I think, around. He's a really good middle six kind of guy. I think he'll be. For the Islanders, at times he was playing the top line with Barzal, but he just, he's not putting up the points. I don't think that's where he fits, but I think he'll fit in Vancouver in some kind of role because they really need that kind of character in the roster if they're going to go through, like you said, a pseudo rebuild.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last player piece in this trade is Aatu Raty, who I know you and I are pretty much on the same page with. We kind of like him. It was weird that he slid as far as he did. We had him like borderline in the first round in all of our mock drafts. Rankings wise, we couldn't put him lower than what he ended up going at. But 52 overall to the Islanders last year in the second round. He's made his NHL debut, or not last year, 2 years ago. He's played in the NHL this year. He has 2 goals, but he's playing mostly in Bridgeport. He probably won't be playing for the Canucks this year. Canucks fans, he'll probably be playing in Abbotsford, or whoever your AHL is. Abbotsford, right? I know they change sometimes.
But not for very long.
I
absolutely think that Raty is closer to the NHL than people think he is. He was killing it in Liga in his +1 year. He was definitely passed over on the draft way too late. I think we go back. I don't remember our mock draft rankings, but we had him only falling because the consensus, the general consensus was that he was going to drop, not that we truly believe that he was the lesser skilled.
Yeah,
I think we both thought that he easily should have gone top 10, 15 maybe in the draft, and he's going to show it. I think he's going to be a great piece for the Canucks going forward.
yeah, absolutely. And he kind of fits that kind of player that Vancouver seems to like. And I think he'll, mesh well with the guys that they have currently. But yeah, let's talk
He
about
gives me he gives me Naslin vibes. Does he give you Naslin
Naslin
vibes
vibes,
for
maybe.
the
Nah,
organization? Just like
kind
not
of.
quite, but kind of. Vibes. I didn't say exactly the vibes,
The
just the vibes.
vibes are there. It's true.
Yeah,
No, he's
and I
a
really
good
think he's
player, I
gonna be
think, for
big.
Vancouver. And honestly, I don't hate this trade on either side. I know a lot of people were talking about, what are the Islanders doing? They're not in a playoff spot. Yeah, it's Lou Lamoriello L trade, blah blah blah. But here's the thing, and if I just want to pull up the stats so I know exactly what I'm talking about. The New York Islanders have 148 goals for this year. Their last 5 games, we go through this, was a 2-1 win against the Knights, a 2-0 win against the Red Wings, a 2-1 loss to the Senators, a 5-2 loss to the Leafs, and a 5-2 loss to the Hurricanes.
There's a pattern.
There's a pattern. They have not scored more than 2 goals in any of their last 5 games, and they're way out of contention as far as goals for are concerned, and they're right there where they should be for goals against. They don't give up a lot and they don't score a lot. Adding a guy like Bo Horvat to your top 6 is going to do wonders for both power play and 5-on-5. And this team is so just outside a playoff spot. They're currently at 55 points. Pittsburgh sits at 57 with a couple games in hand. So they only have to jump over the Buffalo Sabres. They're not that far out of the playoff spot, guys. People saying, oh, they're writing them off. They should be rebuilding. What's going on? We all know the Islanders, when they get in the playoffs, are not the same team. We've seen that over and over again. They're not the same team when they get into the playoffs. And
that style of hockey that they play is a playoff style of hockey, basically. I really do think that, they're like a playoff built team that just has to make it. And an 82 game schedule is huge to kind of like play that style, game in and game out. But in the playoffs, when you're focused and the whole team's clicking together, that's the strategy that can really wear a team down and, win a series.
Yeah, and they could be doing all this to just make the playoffs to then lose in 7 games to the Boston Bruins. But I think they would give the Boston Bruins a run for their money just simply with this one move. And that's not to say that they're done either. So we'll see. Right now, Daily Faceoff has, and we didn't have a graphic for this, but I'll throw it up in post, has the lines as such of Josh Bailey, Bo Horvat, and Matt Barzal. This is great. I think it kicks Barzal to the wing. Something we talked about beforehand. Matt Barzal is a great player. The man cannot win a face-off to save his life right now, so they've kicked him to the wing. I like that move. Anders Lee, Brock Nelson, and Cal Palmieri has basically been a line all year. I like that too. Parise, Pajot, and Holmstrom. I'm not sure 100% about Holmstrom. I haven't seen him a whole lot this year, but Pajot is a perfect third-line center to have. And then we have Matt Martin, Casey Zizekas, and Ross Johnson, Kyle Clutterbuck with on IR, or else that would be their 4th line. I think this is not a terrible forward
I
group.
want to get back to Pajot.
Yeah.
Because they traded for him as well as a center.
Yes.
And they traded a first, a second, and a third. And I obviously they paid a little bit more here for Horvat. I think the first Beauvillier, Aatu was a second round pick, but he's good maybe. But there is a lot of similarities in that I don't think New York gave up a lot, but at the same time, the pieces are so good that what they gave up was key for Vancouver, that if they were to get more, this is probably what they'd get out of it anyway. Just, prospects that don't make it, for instance, if they were to get more pieces. And I think it's a perfect hockey trade.
Yeah, I really do like it for both sides, and I like it for the Islanders, which we haven't talked about going forward as well. Bo Horvat
Hmm.
is a UFA at the end of the year, but there's no reason to think that he wouldn't re-sign in New York for the right money. I'm not sure what he's been
The right
rejecting out in
success.
the right success. Right now, he's at a $5.5 million cap hit. You already have a $2 million additional extension to Matt Barzal, but you also have Simeon Varlamov's $5 million coming off the books at the end of the year. So what this does is this gives you essentially $3 million extra. And of course, you have to go get a goalie, but that's easier to do. Um, it gives you $3 million left after you've given Barzal the extension money to throw at Bo Horvat. So to put $8.5 million in front of him at 8 years or 7 years or whatever it is, I think he would end up accepting a trade, a contract like that. I
Hmm.
think that's not what Vancouver has come up to.
Hmm.
Reporting the reports have been it's just still been a little bit short of that, and 8.5, I think would get it done with a team like New York Islanders, and a team that I think complements Bo Horvat's game a lot. So this could be not just a rental; he could legitimately re-sign with the Islanders, which I think people are kind of forgetting about.
I think that's heavily based on the success of the team. I think if he loses, if the team, loses out, they get worse. He'll test the market because clearly he's a guy who can, score crazy amounts. So, over a half, goal per game at this point, and he will make that money on the free, on the free market from a contender too. I think
Yeah,
a contender will make space for him. So, if the Islanders show, maybe they're not even done yet for trades. If they're gonna be a contender, I think Horvat will consider signing there. I think they might have even tried to, do a sign and trade or something, and Horvat just wasn't having it because, success. But
yeah, could
for
want
the
to,
Islanders,
could
like you
just
said,
go
yeah,
to
that's
market. It's fine
hmm
too. Um,
hmm
but he at the end might still end up resigning there. Well, or the Islanders miss the playoffs and it blows up in their faces. But I honestly don't expect that to happen. I think Bo Horvat pumps their offense up just enough to sneak them in if they get some depth scoring to play alongside a guy like Pajot and Parise instead of Simon Holmstrom. Uh, on that right side, maybe they're able to make a little bit of a run here for it. But yeah, that's what we think. Who won this trade in your opinion?
I I want to say I know this is a really good hockey trade where technically I want to believe that both teams win because Vancouver's getting futures, not just they get a pick, they get a prospect, and they get a player that I think can be part of the organization for 5 to 10 years, easily part of the retool rebuild. But New York gets the chance to win, and I really believe that when success is success, winning the cup is the goal. That if you get the better player and you get we're the winning team, that's the win, the team that gets the trade. I'd love to give it 50-50, but I'm going to lean towards the Islanders. I think that they didn't even give up as much as they probably could have for a guy who's going to be their number one center. If Barzal moves to the wing, that's an incredible opportunity. You don't get trades like this very often, and I got to give it to them.
I agree 100%. Actually, no, I agree 95% with what you
Hmm.
said because I'm actually going to give this trade just a smidge to the Vancouver Canucks. I love it as a hockey trade, like you said. That's what I agree with. I think both sides benefit here, which is rare in trades like this for rentals.
Hmm.
Um, these I put up 4 fingers. These 3 players that Vancouver got, Beauvillier, Aatu, and a first potential player, I think is more than they could have ever hoped for a guy that obviously doesn't want to stay in Vancouver and a team
Hmm.
that is kind of in shambles right now. It shakes everything up for them. Brings in a guy like Beauvillier who still young, but he's gone on a few runs in his career. He's got some experience. Aatu Raty could be a centerman of the future and a first round pick in a insanely deep draft. I think this, if even if this is like the 20th overall pick, that could be a very very good player for them
Hmm.
for a guy who had no desire to stay in Vancouver. whatsoever. I think this is a great. So I'm going to give it a smidge to the Vancouver Canucks, but not by much.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad we disagree, because that's what makes hockey fun and hockey trades fun to talk about, because we all have different opinions, and we won't get to know exactly how this all ends up until years in the future, when we get to see Aatu Raty, how he plays as a Canuck, if he plays as a Canuck, same with that draft pick, what they do with it. So we'll see, won't we?
Yeah, let us know what you think. Who wins this trade? I'd love to hear what everyone thinks down in the comment section down below. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more dope hockey content.
Yeah, we're Dopamon, two best friends. We love to talk hockey news analysis. We got mock drafts, trade coverage, and speculation. Everything you want to talk hockey, we're here for. Leave a comment down below. Hit the subscribe button to get, constantly bombarded by the two most beautiful faces on YouTube.
It's totally. Thanks so much for watching. Peace.